In today's video, I'm going to show you everything that I did in second year as an interior design student. If you want to see all the work that I did during first year, I have already done a video on that and I will link it. I think it's on this site, it might be on that site, but yeah, I will link it below as well for you. In that video, I also go over how the modules work, but I can just give a brief recap on that. So at Derby Uni, we had 4 different modules. We had design, we had toolkit, we had visual professional practice, and then we had critical context. In design, we would design everything. In toolkit, we would mostly focus on technical drawings. In visual professional practice, shortened to VPP, we would focus on supporting the design module and we would learn how to lay things out. And especially in second year, we focused on how to learn SketchUp. Critical context was just the supporting module to write our essay. In second year, we overall had 4 projects and I will go through them one by one now, but that's all you need to know for now. I'm going to move straight into sharing the first project with you. So this is some of the development that I created for this project. You can see I did this in 2020, so that is 4 years ago now, which is crazy. I'll go through this presentation, but this is not the final one. I will share the final presentation in a second. Here you can see the contents page, and then I move into precedent studies. And you can kind of see that in this whole presentation here, I did try to put some nice elements into it. In general, my sort of presentation and laying it out nicely, those skills I didn't really have yet. So this is sort of how we used to do presentations at school, very like PowerPoint, very basic. And I definitely learned a lot at uni on how to lay it out a little bit more nicely and how to design the whole presentation and give it a bit more of a style. I did 3 precedent studies for this. So I did this mirrored beach hut. This is the second precedent study, which I think this one inspired me the most. I loved these hanging chairs and I was thinking you could even play audio in them. Then this is the third precedent study, and I think from this I mostly just took that I really liked all the wooden elements, and then we had to do a site plan and show where we would put our project. And for me, I just wanted to pop it up in the car park of my campus. This is an initial layout idea. My thinking was that I could display something here. So this bit was just meant to turn into a bit of an exhibition area, and this was meant to be the round seating. Here you can see some initial concept sketches, and what you can see is that the seating that I have is exactly identical to the precedent study, so there needed to be some more development to this. And then I've also incorporated some greenery. These sketches now, they crack me up. They're not particularly good. It's quite nice because this is 4 years ago for me now, so it's quite nice to see my work from back then and compare it to what my work is like now. And then here you can see my idea actually. I wanted there to be integrated speakers so that you could listen to some kind of audio content while you sit in them. It activates when the swing is moving, so that is actually a great idea. And then this is my final presentation. So the first bit I just shared with you was a little bit of development, and then I did some changes to that to come up with the final design. And this is the presentation that I came up with. So you can see I did try to bring it to life a little bit. Actually, looking at this, it looks pretty horrendous, but that's fine. So I've included the precedent studies, the site plan, some pictures of the site, the concept board, which the concept board really looks like a mess. And then I've included some concept sketches. And I remember the feedback that I got is these concept sketches are just way too finished. They already show the final design, show the development a little bit more, and don't be afraid to just use a pencil and to just draw. They don't have to be colourful. It was kind of hard for me, / it is still hard for me to really just show rough sketches and not like a final neater version of the sketch. So this was actually the first project that we did in SketchUp, so it's very rough. And for this presentation, all we did was take screenshots from the actual model in SketchUp rather than rendering it out. So this was a great project to learn SketchUp because it was nice and small, and we could just simply focus on learning SketchUp and how to model things. So there's a plan view, a plan in context, and some visuals. There's an isometric drawing, an elevation, and a section. Here are my first technical drawings. We also learned AutoCAD alongside this as well. So this is my first project in AutoCAD. And yeah, that was the final presentation. Very small, very basic. It was definitely a project where I learned a lot of softwares, but flicking through the pages, I think there's definitely a lot of development still to be done, and especially the way I laid things out. I think it could have really looked a little bit nicer. And then I thought I would share some of these lovely sketches. Those are the kind of sketches that they actually would love, and that are concept sketches. I mean, maybe not drawn in pen, but drawn in pencil. But I was just a bit too scared to put this sort of thinking on a final presentation board, but I think this would have probably even gone down better than what I had on my presentation board. We got this whole document of drawings. So these are some existing plans. There were actually 2 floors to this. Then we got some elevations, and we got a little bit of a site plan. So this was a first draft of a concept board that I did for this project, and I thought I would flick this up quickly just so that you can see the development a little bit. Then this was actually my final concept board, and I think it looks a lot better. So let me just put them next to one another. Here you can see a lot more clearly what my actual concept is. So again, this is some development that I did. Here I actually looked at 6 precedent studies, and this is also the first time that we did a zoning diagram. So this was quite a good exercise. Zoning in general in interior design is very important, and it's usually the first step to plan out a space. So this is 2 different options, and as you can see, we had 2 floors to plan out. So you would actually enter this way, and then I planned in the main bar area here, and downstairs I wanted to have a brewery and a pottery. So that is kind of how I linked in the history into this building, and I've done it through multiple other ways as well, which I'll share later. But I actually wanted there to still be pottery classes. And then here's a third option that I came up with. And then this is the mood board, and you can clearly see there has been some development from the first project. This clearly now conveys a little bit of a mood. I think it could still be done a little bit better. It's actually already a lot better than the first project. And then this is the concept board that I shared with you earlier. I think it works quite well. It's quite nice that some concept sketches have been tied in with it. And then this is the proposed floor plan. I actually rearranged the space a little bit and created a bit of a hallway. Created some space for the bar here, and then this is mainly just seating. So this space here is the brewery, and this space here is the pottery, and then here's actually the final presentation that I did. And again, looking at this, I just feel like this could have been done so much better, but that's fine. Here you can actually see the site a little bit better, and you can see that it's a derelict building and it really needs some love and attention. And here's a historical picture of it as well. And with this project, we also started to just write up a little bit of an introduction. I've written just some information about the client and the building and the history, and I've also included the brief. Here I did a site plan, and then I put 4 of my most relevant precedent studies right here, and then the zoning diagram that I went with in the end. I've included my mood board and my concept board, which I think I could have laid them out a little bit better on this page, but that's fine. And then I have included some concept sketches, and I remember I did so many sketches for this project. And then here, moving on to some of the floor plans. I just put the CAD floor plans on here, and then I also put a rendered floor plan on here. All I did was take a screenshot in SketchUp. For this project, they said to us in the end that we could render things, but it was completely fine to just add screenshots from SketchUp. I think pretty much all of us just used screenshots just because we hadn't really had any rendering experience, and we didn't really have all that much time for this project. We had to model the entire space, which actually took a very long time to do. I did the same for the section as well. As you can see, I've got some more sections here. They don't look the best. What I actually think I did quite well is I showed some pictures of the space before and then showed the concept sketch and kind of the development and the ideas that I had for it. And then I showed a bit of an after picture of it. That's a great idea to get sort of your vision across. I've showed this space and I have indicated that above this fireplace, I wanted to repurpose or remold this sign here just to again introduce a little bit of that history. So these are just some very basic perspectives. All I did was export them in SketchUp. They look all right, but I know they could look a lot nicer if I put them into rendering software. As you can see, I modeled all of this from scratch and it took a very long time, especially the ceiling. Here you can also see another idea of mine was to take actual pottery and put a light bulb in it and just use it above each table as a little bit of a feature moment and as a nod to the history of the building. And that was the design part of this module. I will share the toolkit part of this module with you now. So for the toolkit slash the technical part of this module, we had to do a specification document. I've done a bit of a table of contents. So here I have labeled some things. I've set ceiling finish number 1. I have included what the actual ceiling finish is. And then this is the finishes schedule. And here's the entire technical pack for this project, going from as-built plans to demolition plans to fire escape and wayfinding plans. And that's pretty much this entire project. Sorry if some of it was a bit boring. What I decided to do is to do a bit of a smoothie bar and to turn that into a little bit of an experience. So I will share my design with you now. For some reason I decided to go vertical with this presentation. I normally always do a horizontal presentation, but I quite like this vertical look. And for this I included some precedents that inspired me the most. This works a lot better than the presentations that I did before. And then this is the mood board here and the concept sketches on that side, but I had actually laid it out more like a presentation. I might actually share my presentation with you like this. So this is the mood board I created and I'm actually quite happy with this looking at this now. And here I also tied in the mood board into a little bit of a materiality board. So usually you would split the two a little bit, but I think in this case it actually works quite well. And then on this board I've got all my concept sketches. I really try to be a lot more conceptual this time, and I like that I also included a little bit of a description of my thinking as well. And then this is more of sort of a final sketch. And then I've included some zoning diagrams. So I played around with these 3 different layouts and then I highlighted the selected layout. So those are the zonals. And then this is the brand development. So for this project, we also had to create some kind of branding for them. And this was quite hard because I'd never really done something like this before. And I tried to really show the development here. I tried to show where I started and then I did a few more steps, and you can really see how I came from these shapes and turned them into peaks. And then I played around with a name. I'm never good at naming things, so I named it Smooth Peak, which sounds really weird. I don't know why I thought it was a good idea. I mean, smooth obviously from smoothie, but I feel like I should have really come up with something a little bit more clever than that. And then I developed the logo a bit more. It does look okay. I think it could look a little bit nicer. Maybe the background could have had a color as well. Okay, moving on from that. Here I've got a plan of the space and then also an elevation. I again just used SketchUp for this, and I think I photoshopped the walls. So alongside this, in the VPP module, I actually learned how to Photoshop a little bit. So this was my first time implementing this, and what I did for most of these is I just turned the lines off so that it would look a little bit nicer. And at the time I thought, oh, this looks a lot better without the lines, and it does, but it still doesn't look very nice just because it's not properly rendered out. I've included some more sections. What's quite nice about this is that I included a little bit of a plan indicating where the sections are situated, and then I've got some perspectives. And actually this now here is the first time where I used a rendering software, and this was done on V-Ray, but whatever I tried, I couldn't make it work. So there were two issues. The space was just really small and I couldn't get the angle right, and then also I struggled with the lighting, and I learned that V-Ray takes quite a lot of tweaking. I even started using V-Ray for my final project, but it was just taking too long to get it right, so then I ended up using Enscape. Enscape is just a lot quicker to get it to look right. For anyone, I would just recommend Enscape over V-Ray, especially if you are a beginner. So I guess this is fine, but they're not the most beautiful visuals. And then for the next page, I included an axonometric drawing, and this is just done in SketchUp. Again, I turned all the lines off, and then I have included a sample board, which is also the last page of my final presentation. And I actually really like this. This looks really lovely the way it's arranged. I think the only thing I would change is adding some shadow, and that is basically my final presentation for this project. So what that meant is that we had to design the airport executive lounge kind of branded in a theme that would fit Mont Blanc, somehow translate what they stand for into a design. And obviously Mont Blanc is quite a luxury and a masculine brand, I would say. They produce pens, and they have for a while, and they stand for quality. So we had to create breakout spaces, and then we also created a bit of a shop near the entrance where Mont Blanc could display and sell some of their products. So for this, I thought I would just share the final presentation with you, and then I might be able to also show you just some of the technical toolkit drawings that we did as well. So this is the final presentation. We have got a bit of a mood board here, and this mood board is just really good. I didn't create this. One of my friends in this group created it. And then we have some rendered concept sketches over here. And then we've got concept sketches of all the different types of areas. And then on the second page, as always, we've got our zonal layout here, some first thinking, and then we have got a brief introduction into Vienna, which is the airport that the executive lounge will be in. For this space, we also had to create signage. The signage had to be branded. We've even shown a bit of a progress. Then we have a wayfinding plan here of both the mezzanine level and the ground floor level. And then here we have just labeled up the plan on where everything sits and where the entrance is. And then we have started to include some renders, and again, all the renders we have actually just taken them straight out of SketchUp. And then here is a section, and this is just taken straight out of SketchUp, and we've added a background in Photoshop. So this bit here is actually the retail experience that I was talking about earlier. You can see the visual of it a little bit better here. One of our group members also did so much research into all the different plants that could survive quite nicely indoors, and plants that would stay green the whole year round. And then we've got this materials palette, and we've also indicated where all of the materials are located, and that is the entire presentation. And then for VPP, we actually did a portfolio and a CV, and this was actually super helpful. So I can quickly maybe show you the portfolio that I did back then. I'm just going to flick through it really quickly. I've changed this a lot since then. So this was what I did for my first portfolio. It's way too long and I've developed since then. So if you want to see how to properly lay out a portfolio, I've actually done a video on that. It's my most recent video. So that was all the projects of second year. I know there was quite a lot to go through, so well done if you've made it through the whole video. I'm sorry I talked for so long. Let me know what you thought. Let me know if you enjoyed this video, and I will see you very soon with another video. Bye!